Welcome to Planet Bollywood. We have two amazing actors, Mirza and Mohit Raina, stepping into the digital space with yet another powerful story named Kaafir. And what I'm very interested about is the character that you've played here and that you are playing, has an amazing premise. There's so much to tell through her character. When you read the script, was that exactly how you looked at her? Like you felt like this role, there's so much messaging that can go through this particular character.
Oh, absolutely, Rudrani. Firstly, the fact that it's inspired by true events, that these circumstances, these events have actually happened in a human being's life, that itself really compels your humanity. It really makes you feel things that you've perhaps never felt before. And then to be offered a story like this, to perform a part like this, to be a part of this kind of a journey that is bigger than all of us, that has such an incredible narrative that speaks to people directly and is then of course gone on to resonate the way it has. I think it's once in a lifetime as an artist to have this kind of an experience. Of course, we'd always be greedy for more, many more such experiences. But what a great beginning for our journey on the digital platform to have a story like Kaafir.
I've also realized that in the digital space, with topics that are sensitive, or we think they are sensitive, because all of us, have opinions on the subject when it comes to Indo-Pak relations, or otherwise, or about religion in itself. I think in the digital medium, it becomes easier to say a lot of things because you're not governed by a particular body as well. That does not come into picture in the digital space. Do you think that sort of also played an important role to tell the story as honestly as possible? Because there wasn't a CBFC or there wasn't a particular board telling you this might hurt particular sentiments or this might do something or the other. I think I'd like to ask Mohit first and then we'll come to Dia.
Well, absolutely. I personally think, because we are not governed by anybody as of now, we have a lot of freedom to express the kind of storytelling we want to express. That's why personally I believe, this phase is the best phase for any person to be attached to the entertainment industry right now. Because you be a writer, you be a creative, you be a director, you be a cinematographer, you be an actor. Right now, there's so much work happening on the digital platform that your all creative needs and the hunger and the greediness will be taken care of. But at the same time, we have to be very responsible. I remember a very old line with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility. When we have the power of showcasing and messaging, putting our message across to a lot of people through this platform, because it's very accessible. There's a lot of the consumption of the demand that is being generated through this platform. I think we need to be a little more responsible also at the same time and utilize it in our benefit, as well as portraying different entertainment, giving the entertainment quotient available all to our consumers.
The fact that there is no censorship makes OTT a very democratic platform. It's a platform that has given storytellers the kind of opportunity that was not accessible or available to them until a few years ago. Take, for example, even the Kaafir story. Bhavani Iyer wrote the story 13 years ago. Siddharth Malhotra, our producer, has been trying to produce it for 9 years, 8 years. It is because an OTT platform saw its merit, saw how ingenious, how brilliant the story is, that it got made and it has reached people. So, yes, I think the OTT platform has opened up a whole new world, a whole new opportunity, and a whole new possibility for storytelling, which was required and much needed.
जी बिल्कुल, जैसा कि मोहित ने कहा कि विद ग्रेट पावर कम्स ग्रेट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, बहुत एक अच्छी बात कही है, क्योंकि आई थिंक हम डिजिटल स्पेस में हम क्रिएटिविटी को लेके बहुत एक्साइटेड हो जाते हैं एंड वी फॉरगेट दैट कभी कभार इसको हमें एक ज़िम्मेदारी के साथ भी करनी चाहिए. ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ें हैं जो आपको लगता है नीड to be looked at with responsibility while you're doing content on a digital space? Mohit, आपसे ये सवाल है.
आई थिंक बहुत सारे ऐसे ऐसे चीज़ें हैं जिसको आपको ध्यान रखने की ज़रूरत है, बिकॉज इफ़ यू आर ट्राइंग टू शोकेस और सेंड a particular message across, you have to be very careful with the content that you are making, because I don't think abhi we have the parental guidance wala concept in our own platforms, OTT platforms that we have generated. Please correct me if I'm wrong. We don't have it. We don't have it right now.
There's a disclaimer that comes before the show.
Yeah.
But children can watch a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. So we have to be responsible in that space.
बिल्कुल. Do you share the same views as well, Diya? Where do you think should the line be drawn? मेरा सवाल ये है आपसे.
I think it's very it's subjective, रुद्रानी. मैं यहाँ पे बैठ के नहीं बता सकती कि किसको कहाँ पे लकीर उतारनी चाहिए, क्योंकि सबसे ख़ास बात OTT प्लेटफॉर्म की यही है कि ये जो सेंसरशिप्स हैं, ये जो लकीरें हैं, ये ख़ुद के अंडरस्टैंडिंग और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से बननी चाहिए. एंड आई होप there isn't a time when we have to follow any kind of law or protocol with regard guidelines on the OTT platform. I think responsibility has to come from within, from the self, and it really is up to storytellers and filmmakers to bring that responsibility into their writing. Like for example, when mom watched Kaafir, she said it was just so refreshing to see a story that was so beautiful, that made me feel so many things, that was devoid of any galis and devoid of any unnecessary sex. And that is her perspective, and she has every right to it, and it's wonderful. But there may be other people who may want certain things that they have access to on OTT. So who are we to decide what should be there or shouldn't be there? I think this responsibility that Mohit is talking about should come from within, from storytellers, from filmmakers, from artists. It shouldn't be something that should be mandated to them, because the moment that happens, then what's the difference between making cinema for the box office and making content for OTT?
You know, while we are discussing about issues to be dealt with responsibility, हर कहीं पे जिस भी कहानी में इंडो पाक रिलेशंस आया है, you know, एक उथल पुथल समझ गया है माहौल में, because we are sensitive about it. स्पेशली पोस्ट पुलवामा बहुत सारे फिल्म मेकर्स ने, बहुत सारे निर्देशक ने ये एक डिसीजन लिया था कि हम अपने फिल्म्स वहाँ नहीं दिखाएंगे, हम उनको एक्सेसिबल नहीं करेंगे कंटेंट, और उन आर्टिस्ट के साथ भी काम नहीं करेंगे. आपको एज आर्टिस्ट who've taken a subject like this, tried to show it with responsibility, trying to show the world that there is love that exists and we can make it happen, आपका क्या राय है इस पे? The question is for both of you.
For me, Rudrani, it's very simple. I've always believed, and I will continue to believe, that art is a unifier. Art exists to build bridges, to unite, to spread love, to help human progress. So when you deny art the opportunity to exist, then you're denying love, and you're denying the opportunity to be free of fear. So my understanding of this complete ban of exchange is very simple. It is that we are basically allowing for a space for fear to exist. And I'm very grateful that I got to play a Pakistani woman. I'm very grateful that this content is going to reach the people, not just in Pakistan, but all over the world, to understand what it means to live and survive such an extraordinary circumstance of human conflict. And I really hope that our art, the art that we created, goes on to making the difference that we believe it can make, in building bridges, in bringing people together, and in unifying people in love.
मोहित, आपकी राय?
आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे मोहित जी?
Well, I have my own view about it, because you know,
Which is apolitical.
No, it's not like that. See, I'm born and brought up in Kashmir. I have been seeing this for the last 35 years now. So this is not something that is very new to me. Having said that, I think art always suffers. जो दिया हमेशा से कहती आई हुई है, मैं उनके साथ completely admit करता हूँ. But I think we can, because I haven't seen any solution, and I don't see any other solution till now, because I've been witnessing it for the last 35 years. maybe we can learn from the mistakes that we have previously made and make art the bridge to spread love. Maybe that can work in our favor. So I completely agree that we should look for all the opportunities and avenues where we can spread the message of love and unity. And art, because we have been discussing this quite often, Dia always mentions that art always suffers. So I think, yeah, we can utilize it someday.
That'd be lovely. In the real world, we really hope that someday art can truly be the unifier. और मैं चाहूँगी कि hopefully through Kaafir we also start a healthy debate. And on that perspective, what have been the kind of online reactions that two of you have received? We'll talk about both the good and the bad, and how has it affected you as artists? Because I'm sure through OTT platforms, when you read direct interaction with the audience, that's how you come to know, right? They are the ones who are watching your shows. So both the good and the critical ones, how have you been sort of reacting to both?
I haven't read any critical ones yet.
Same here. Please go ahead.
We've only been receiving love.
Oh, thank God for that.
It's been extraordinary. Thank God. No, it's just amazing, Rudrani. This subject shows us. You know, we consider ourselves so blessed and so lucky to be a part of this story. And it's just so wonderful to see how it's resonating with people, how they're connecting with the narrative, the characters. They're quoting lines from the script. They're, you know, quoting scenes that move them. They're writing blogs. It's been amazing, really amazing.
I'm delighted to hear that. मोहित,
आप कुछ कहेंगे?
आप बताइए, आपका सबसे मुझे बताइए कौन सा सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग कॉम्प्लीमेंट कौन सा मिला among all of that?
I give you the best compliment.
Yes. I got a lot of compliments. I'm really thrilled. You know, as an actor, whenever you are a part of a project, whenever you start working on a project, you have an intuition, and you come to know what is going to be the outcome of the subject. And as you go deep in the subject, in the shooting narrative, you realize that how people will respond to the story when it's out. But nowhere, I think I personally had never imagined that we will get such a response. Actually, I was just busy doing some work, and I started watching it, the online reviews and the mails and the messages last night at 1 o'clock, and then went on till 4 o'clock. You know, and the best part was, you know, whenever you sit in a narration, and whenever a producer or director or a writer is narrating, especially for digital platforms, they always talk about seasons. So we have these 3 seasons, last season 1, season 2, season 3. In this particular subject, we only had a limited story which from point A to point Z. But if you go and see the online reviews and online messaging that people have, they want to see more of the experience that these two characters were experiencing. You know, that was the best part that I really liked. I thought that people were getting so attached and moved by the subject and by the storytelling and the experience of these two people. They wanted to see more of it. You know, that's what I always knew that Kaafir would do. Kaafir would make people stop, think, believe, absorb, and that's what it is doing. And I think that's the biggest achievement as an actor or makers anybody could have asked for.
You know, like I told you all, I've seen a couple of episodes and I plan to go and binge watch the rest of it. It looks like a lovely story with a clear intent of
Rudrani.
I will, absolutely. With a clear intent of of showing just a story. You know, it is not trying to politically create something. You're trying to, through that story, tell something beautiful, and message of love is being given. You know, on that note, Dia, I remember the last time we sat here, among all the truth bombs that you dropped, we discussed sexism and ageism a lot that exist here in Bollywood, and you told me that how. Unfortunately, after a certain age, women are not given the kind of roles that they want. You know, in films, they're certainly asked to be, someone's mother or someone's this, because they have that perception that after a certain age, that's the kind of character she'll create, and they're not given enough layers. So I feel thrilled that you have received a role like this, which seems to be hope that we get more roles for women. And that continues कि आगे भी जाके हम देखेंगे ऐसे और roles मिले औरतों को, and especially for actors like you. Did that thought come to your mind? That is why you waited till you got something like this? Because you also wanted to say that I will not take roles that are being given to me, without any consideration or even sounding a little bit sexist or ageist.
Substance. Oh, I absolutely. And I think that this is a platform that finally dispels those prejudices and those stereotypes that we've been perpetuating now for the last 15, 20 years. This never happened in the era of Wahida Rahman, Sharmila Tagore, Meena Kumari. They were married women. They worked well into their late 40s. They played leading ladies and really powerful parts. At the peaks of their careers happened from their mid-30s to their mid-40s, which also happens globally. But for some reason in the last 15, 18 years, 20 years, the idea of leading a narrative or the kind of characters that are written to lead narratives are either girls or are boys. In fact, I was telling somebody earlier today when we were doing another interview that even the men are playing boys, right? The men aren't playing men. So this ageism, I think, is also attached to the way we write our characters. Interestingly though, men well into their 50s play these boys, but ladies into their 30s are not allowed to play these girls. So I think the women with the nose that they say and will change this. And I think there are more filmmakers now that are becoming more conscious of the fact that they've been perpetuating the stereotype and it has to stop. But it also comes from the choices that we women are making for all the no's we say.
No, absolutely.
I think it's changing, right?
It is changing. It definitely is changing.
Yeah. I'm sure a little more.
But it's changing because the girls have started to say no. They're refusing to be a part of that.
Yeah, as you said correctly before this also, that it has to start from
From within. It has to start from us, from understanding that we can't allow this anymore. Yeah.
So while we are at this, before I move on to Mohit, I'm just going to, of course, ask another question to Diya. You know, your husband has directed this wonderful, progressive, and of course your production house as well, called Mind the Malhotras, which is doing really well as well. And on that note, again, it's a wonderful character to give to Minnie to play, because she's playing her age and she's having fun with it. Where roles like this again are not written for women too often. And I know recently that she unnecessarily received flack on social media where someone pointed out that she needs to do Botox and to look younger, even though she was playing a 40-year-old. How sad it is that this is the kind of notion and this is the kind of standards of beauty do we place for our leading ladies. And we say that, either you are too Botoxed or either you're less Botoxed. What do you have to say about that?
You remember I had shared a compliment with you, which I find very baffling every time I hear it. So when people meet me, especially if they've met me after a long time or they're meeting me for the first time, they say, "Oh my God, you look just the same like you did when we saw Raina Hai Tere Dil Mein." I don't consider it a compliment at all. Because the idea, the notion that you are beautiful only if you look as young as you did when you were 19 is what determines or defines your beauty is so messed up. And that's what then perpetuates the idea of Botox and fillers and all that other rubbish that comes with it. Of course, there are individuals who choose to do it, that's their right, and that's their choice. But there are enough women out there who choose not to use any of that, and they're equally beautiful in their own way.
No, absolutely.
No, our idea of beauty has to definitely get beyond this whole concept of being young and youthful. I think lines and age come with so much incredible experience. They're like our warrior scars. They're beautiful. We should wear them with pride.
I completely agree, and I'm sure Minnie will be, she obviously handled it really well, but I really think that characters like that need to be sort of celebrated.
Minnie is gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, on that note...
Yes, of course. And I celebrate her every day. I celebrate her beauty.
Mohit, you obviously have been TV's sweetheart. You've been the heartthrob for TV, and you have women fawning over you all the time. I'm sure they can't. I know it was so unreal for you at a point that they almost assumed you're Lord Shiva. It became that unreal for you, right? It is also interesting about how the industry looks at people who come from television, and this has been discussed as well. And after Uri, of course, I'm sure it was not an issue for you, because आपका talent obviously दिख गया, and there is so much more that is left to be seen with Kaafir and otherwise. But was this a problem? To break that mold, because we are so judgmental at the time when we come from a particular field and we're trying to make our own talent, and actors not just looked as an actor. You're either a Bollywood actor, or you're a TV actor, or you're some actor.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree what you said. Yes, but it has to be bifurcated into two different subjects. So, firstly, yes, because see, you have to understand that in television, we really play a particular role for a very long time. I used to play that character for at least, I must have done it for at least nothing less than 1300 days. 1300 days is a very long time. So when people see you like that for 1300 days, they tend to believe that you are their own. You belong to their homes. That's what the television, what we call as an idiot box, does that to you. But yes, we have other aspect to it, that we have television actors breaking the mold like Sushant and coming and being in films in a different way. But again, it starts from within. When after doing television for a long time, there were a lot of subjects which were taking me back to the same genre. But it was up to me to sit back and say, no, I want to do something very different. I want to do something very different. That's why I waited for so long for Uri to happen. And I always knew that though it was a very limited time span, but that wasn't a worry. I knew in that short span, I would be able to make an impact. So it has to come from within. I'm lucky as well at the same time, because what happened with Uri is we all know what it delivered and what it became. And so yeah, it has changed a lot of things for me as well.
No, and I'm delighted to hear that. But did you face any bias when you first came in and you were trying to obviously break into the Bollywood space? Did you see that bias towards
no,
you?
No,
Not towards you, towards others?
No, not at all.
Well, I'm glad, and I hope
not
that...
At all, not at all. I have witnessed it, but I guess I was somewhere lucky that I haven't faced it.
I don't think it's going to ever happen with him.
I'm glad
He's too talented.
That is there.
He's too talented.
That we all agree. He is extremely talented. Coming back to Kaafir, of course.
No, but Rudrani, these things, it's...
No, please, Diya, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you.
I just wanted to share something with you, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
That these lines, these divisions that you're talking about, Bollywood and TV and all these divisions are getting blurred, because firstly, as they should be, because everybody's an artist first. It does not matter what medium they're performing for, whether it's theatre or it's television or film or digital. I think the digital medium has played a very big part in unifying artists and bringing them together, and you kind of blurring these divisions, because I would have never thought that I would be doing such a wonderful story with Mohit, as much as he would have probably not thought that he would be doing a story like this with me. So it's that's what's making everything even more special, the fact that the digital platform is bringing people together from different spaces, and helping them collaborate and tell the stories they want to tell.
No, absolutely, and that's I completely agree with you, and we really hope that in time to come, in the future, we see कि एक्टर्स को एक्टर्स माना जाएगा, ना कि इस माध्यम से आए हैं तो ये इस तरह के होंगे या उस तरह के होंगे. And on that note, I'd like to end it by asking you about Kaafir. एक इसमें एक बहुत beautiful mother-daughter का relationship दिखाया गया है, and I think the girl who's playing, she's absolutely talented. बहुत ही बेहतरीन performance दिया है उन्होंने. But does it get difficult to have that emotions when you have to, in that circumstances? Does it get grueling as an actor to go through those circumstances that your character had to go through?
Of course, it's very difficult because you feel the intensity of every emotion. You allow yourself go to places which are really dark that you haven't ever been to. But I think the light in my life for the last 3 months has been Dishita. Whether it's her character Seher in the story as my daughter or the person that she is off camera. I always say this, Rudrani, I think Dishita made me realize that you don't need to biologically have a child to become a mother. Dishita made me a mother, and it was the most intense and most beautiful experience I've ever had. And I'm so lucky to have had the opportunity to meet this precious child and work with her and just form this incredible bond that I have with her.
That's fantastic to hear. Before I end it, Mohit, would you like to add anything about, especially because Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, it's close to your heart, you're from there, and shooting, in Himachal, it must have been, the sense of belonging somewhere.
Absolutely. I had planned to go and be in Kashmir after a really long time. I was looking forward to this trip where I would be shooting in Kashmir for 25 days for a month and being in my own valley. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that because of the circumstances again created by humans. But we did it in Himachal Pradesh. So yeah, there were moments and there were times when I would go back and think about all those days. There were a lot of small memories. I would just sit by a rock near a sea. It was so calming and surrounded by mountains. Getting up, I used to go and trek also at times whenever I get the opportunity. So I think it was a beautiful feeling. Yeah, it did remind me of my childhood days for sure.
Thank you so much, Diya, and thank you so much, Mohit, for joining us on Planet Bollywood. Besides the fact that you have a lovely story to tell with Kaafir, I'd like to thank you for choosing subjects and continuing to break barriers and making our lives more interesting. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Rudrani.
Thank you
It's
so
such
much
a
for
pleasure.
having us.
Thank you for having us.